fight the fire. I'm setting all the captives free, but I'm hanging by a wire. All those suckers know my name, but I just gotta fight the fight. They love to play those dirty games. From the dark will come a light. Look out, I'm coming. Look out, I'm a dangerous man. Shaking like the Holy Ghost, better run than be afraid. They tremble when they hear my voice. I knew there would come a day. They say that I'm a wanted man. They got a bounty on my head. They're drawing lines up in the sand, but I'll rise up from the dead. Look out, I'm a trouble man. Look out, I'm a dangerous man. Yeah. Oh, I'm a dangerous man. Yeah. Oh, I will survive. I'll stand and fight. Better run and hide. 'Cause I'm a dangerous man. Look out, I'm coming. Look out, look out, I'm a trouble man. Look out, I'm a dangerous man. Oh, I'm a dangerous man. Oh, I'm a dangerous man. I will survive. I stand and fight. Better run and hide. 'Cause I'm a dangerous man. I will survive. Gonna stand and fight. Oh, 'cause I'm a dangerous man.
Top of the evening to you fellas. It's Chris and Mark with the NWA Exchange podcast.
The only podcast you need to listen to know everything about Bella Vista and beyond. Hope everybody's having a great St. Patty's Day. Hey, hey, hey. We got a great show lined up for you tonight. Let's get into it, my little leprechaun friends. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. How you doing?
I threw you for a haymaker on that one, didn't I?
Could use a few drinks this week, man. This is a rough.
Gosh, dude. Yeah, this week's been a nut job week. And
Wow.
man, you know, spring break is upon us. If you live in Bentonville, Bella Vista, that area.
Yeah.
So trying to get stuff lined up and man, ready to have a spring break. Spring broke. I don't know.
Next
We'll
week.
see.
Yeah, spring broke, right?
Yeah. But dude, you know, lots happened this week, right? Obviously with the STR stuff, SB197, the house. We talked about that stuff earlier this week. Hopefully some of you guys got the opportunity to check that out. And that being said, we'll talk about it a little bit later. We have a nice guest interview lined up to talk about stuff that's relevant for 2023 if you're in the real estate market or looking to get financed, kind of what to expect these days. And I don't know, man. Tell me what we got going on this week.
Well, guess what, Chris? Your favorite coming up for your city council work session,
Yeah.
the 20th, man.
Yeah, buddy.
This should be interesting with everything else going on. So, city council work session taking place Monday at 5:30 p.m. It's over at, oh no, wait, it's at the new
That's the new public safety
facility.
building.
Yeah, I don't have that, but I
Out
will
on-
post that.
It's out on Forest Hill Boulevard. You
Yeah,
make
but I
a
don't know the
left
exact
like you're
ad.
going to Hiawassee, and it's the big
Yep.
new building
To
next
the
to the
left.
road department.
Yep. I can't think of- I'll
right
get the
across the
address.
street from the Boys and Girls Club, I believe.
Yeah. So that'd be a good time to check it out. Again, it's a work session, so they're having conversation, open conversation, and usually get some good tidbits there. So the following week is the regular city council meeting. Hopefully, we'll have the SB 197 bill straightened out and have an answer there. So that'll take place at 6:30.
Maybe. I heard rumor has it that that's not getting read or moved to approval until I believe that week. So we'll have to just see where it stands, and we'll give an update on that as updates progress. Right?
Well, I hope so, man. I hope we get an answer on that. So, 27th again, Monday, 6:30 p.m. regular city council meeting. If you plan on going and you want to talk and have your 3 minutes, you're gonna have to get there a little earlier. I say about 6 o'clock. I'm not familiar with that facility, so it'll be our first time checking it out ourselves. So you do have to sign up to talk for your 3 minutes and say hi to Doug. You have the opportunity to say hi to Doug. So
What's up there, buddy? I saw you down there in Little Rock, man. Talking about how you're, was it Mayor Pro Tem, 3 years in the running, 2-term elected city council member. Didn't mention that you was the chair of the Advertising and Promotion Commission, did
yeah, yeah, that was forgot. And yeah. So we got the 10 box, Chris. I know every week we look forward to that, man. So, man, it just doesn't stop, man. 10 box cost plus deals this week. And people aren't familiar with it. It's located over 103 North Dixieland in Rogers. Man, the deals are just phenomenal, man. I mean, T-bone steaks, $4.22 a pound. Whole pork butts. I still got one left from the last time we bought the 2-packs, man. $1.18 a pound. Split chicken breast, 75 cents a pound. 73.27 ground beef, $2.11 a pound. 2-pound tilapia fillets, man, $5.95 a bag, man. So I mean that's under what, $3 a pound, man. That's a heck of a deal.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So
What else we got going on there, man? Let's see.
now we got some topics to talk about, but I think we're gonna
russet potatoes. I'm talking on the boxed in, buddy.
Oh, okay, yeah, we'll hit that. We get the potatoes
Slicing
rolling
tomatoes,
out, buddy.
green cabbage, or lean
Yeah.
beef, and
You know how I love vegetables, Chris.
large cantaloupes. $2.97
Yeah.
each. I don't know if that's a good deal or not. Maybe some of our cantaloupe eating friends, leprechaun friends. No, but I don't know, man.
Right.
I did want to give a shout out to it's a Goodyear commercial tire center up there in Joplin, Missouri. I want to make sure I get the address right though, and it is right here. Yep. So so if you have a larger RV, which I do, it's a diesel pusher and it requires it's a Freightliner chassis, and so trying to find tires for something like that is a challenge at best. So if you own a large RV, you're very aware of this. Finding places that can work on them, put tires on there. So I made a phone call to the Goodyear Commercial Tire Center in Springdale, and they didn't have enough tires to accommodate my needs. Gave a quick phone call up to the Goodyear Tire Commercial and Service Center at 233 Glendale Boulevard in Joplin, and Jeremy Kellogg is the manager's name. Phenomenal guy, man. I mean, he called him, told him what my needs were, told him what my tire size was. I said I know the previous owner put some different tires on there to get out of the Michelin market, and so we were looking at the sizes. He found a size that worked. I got 6 of them in. These are Cooper tires. They're good. Cooper makes good tires. And he hooked me up, man. And so lo and behold, go to pick up the RV. he's like, man, that price I gave you, it's not accurate. I used some promo money because we have advertising money that we have to use every month. And what I did is I took some of my advertising money because I figure you're a talkative person and you'll word of mouth help me. And so he basically saved me around $700 on labor cost using his advertising fees. And so, you can't ask for a better deal. $3,100 for 6 commercial high pressure tires out the door installed, taxes, the whole 9 yards. So if you are in the need for any type of commercial type tire, high pressure, big rig tires, Goodyear Commercial Tire and Service Center. They also do services. They do brakes, alignment, and so I will definitely be going back to this shop. Best experience ever. Dropped it off on Wednesday night. They had a key drop. Came back Thursday evening. It was ready to go, and it was cheaper than what I originally thought it was going to be. So,
yeah, that's awesome. I know you had called around, and it was such a circus trying to get someone.
Oh, it is, dude. I mean, I called RV places. I called McGar's RV. I called the Freightliner place, and the service places over in Springdale. They work on them, but they don't do tires. Freightliner, you would think Freightliner would be able to do tires on a Freightliner. Nope, we only work on them. It's been a struggle to find somebody, and now that I've found a place that I trust and I mean, customer service top notch, dude, I am definitely going to be back at this place for sure.
That's good, man. It's hard to find good quality customer service. You know that.
Yeah. So shout out to them, man, for getting us taken care of, and really timely manner too. And like I said, the experience was just 100% positive. That being said, we are going to skip our break. We are going to go into our special guest interview. We're going to try to shave off a little time, with the break. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. We had the opportunity to sit down and talk with Corey McDaniel. If you remember, we talked with him. He's a mortgage loan officer, and he's got some information regarding, we hear all these people talking about there's a lack of housing. The interest rates are going up. What is it? What are the pre-qualification requisites and stuff like that to get a home? Yep. And obviously, buying a home in this market, where it is, it can. I mean, you need to be pre-approved. You need to have your ducks in a row because houses are flying off the shelf. You know that. You're a realtor, Mark.
Yep.
So.
Right. Yep.
That being said, we're going to go ahead and go into this quick, go into this interview with Corey and let it speak for itself, and we'll be back afterwards.
All right, sounds good.
So, with the, I got some questions on the mortgage aspect of life. Bentonville has no shortage, or I'm sorry, we actually are starting to run into a shortage of homes. That seems to be the general narrative for most people is it's hard to find a home. Even people trying to rent are having problems finding homes. And you're in the real estate market, so you understand this probably better than anybody. But are you seeing any shifting in the real estate market at this point in time? Is it slowing down or?
Yeah, the market came off a little bit, Chris, but it's really unique area in Northwest Arkansas because we have Walmart, which is the largest retailer in the world. We have Tyson Foods, which is the largest meat packer in the world. It does beef, pork, chicken, prepared foods. And you have J.B. Hunt, which is the fourth largest logistics and transportation company in Lowell. So all these companies have vendors, as you know, you work with vendors, a vendor community that's in this area too. So we're primed for growth in this area. There was a little leveling off. The average price, I think our average square foot price was $185, $186. But it's strong. It's starting to, even with the interest rates going up, Chris, it's still very strong in this area, Bentonville. There's 35 families coming in to Northwest Arkansas every single day.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, there's just not enough housing. What I always try to take a look at is in Bella Vista is new builds. Mm-hmm. And right now it's about 60% of the houses for sale right now are new builds. Okay. And when that pullback starts happening, Chris, and you don't see the builders getting those loans and building out, then I'd be a little concerned. But right now we are in a great situation in comparison to bigger cities, your Dallases, your New York, Chicago, LA, Seattle, those areas are going to have huge fluctuations. There's no doubt about it. But
and you briefly mentioned
so
you briefly mentioned the mortgage rates and the interest rates right now, and then you did send over an infographic, and it says, I guess, the historical interest rates for 30-year fixed mortgages from 1971 to 2022. You can see in 2021 the average rate was 2.96, and it looks like in 2022 the average rate was 4.09%. And so it is going up a little bit. It's still not where it was back in 1980, where it was at like 16 plus 17%. And we had the opportunity to talk with Corey McDaniel, who is a mortgage loan officer. I think we did it last, was it February or March some time frame, about 10, 11 months ago. And we're fortunate enough to have him back on tonight to kind of give us an update for, calendar year 2023 and see what's changed from the lending side of the house.
Yeah. You're right. It's clearly, people that were buying houses 2 years ago would think we're in a very, very weird, terrible spot.
Yeah.
But historically, what Mark shared is right. It's not really as bad as everybody says. And more than likely, we're going to see a decrease in those rates by summer. Even if we don't, the one thing I try to tell people over and over again is you don't want money to be so cheap that you could buy something that normally you couldn't afford.
Right.
Right. Like that's like a principle of life. Like you shouldn't be able to get money, for something that normally you couldn't handle. So I'm not saying I'm happy, they are where they are, but I do think once they stabilize, which I hope is going to be by the summer, and a lot of people that I read say it will be, we're at least going to be in a good spot where, people can feel comfortable buying a house and still pay less for what they could rent and get more for that.
Yeah. Well, and renting is really not, I think I look at rent as kind of like a throwaway option. You really have nothing to show for it after all is said and done. And, like during, as we went through that stump dump fire 4.5 years ago, and some people chose to rent apartments. I believe you did that, Mark, right? You rented an efficiency apartment. I chose to spend my money on a used RV, and I continue to enjoy that RV. So I could still use it, I could still sell it, but probably for cheaper than what I would have put in on rent too in the long term.
Yeah. Overall, and Mark can, obviously back me up on this or not, but I think he will. Overall, the idea of renting versus buying, especially where we live, Northwest Arkansas, it's completely worth it to make that investment. Even if you're not going to make that up for 3 years, it's going to be worth it. There's just very, very few properties that lose money in this area.
Yeah, we're very well insulated in Northwest Arkansas, and they're on track for their growth plan. I think by 2030 they wanted 1 million people in Northwest Arkansas. They're well on track for it. They're enticing people and businesses to come here. So anything that you can buy right now should go up in property value if you're doing it right. As long as you're not, and so that kind of brings in the thing is like from a mortgage loan officer, obviously the property has to appraise at something that you're willing to loan on, and we're seeing properties appraised, still under what they're offering price or asking price is. So how, are you guys sending out updated appraisers? How does that appraisal process work?
Yeah. So for people that don't know, people on my end really can't have much to do with it. It has to be an independent third party, deal. So we explain that up front. Hey, if this comes back good or bad, it's not on us.
Yeah.
It's got, which is the way to go, because we don't want, somebody to be influenced one way or the other. However, after COVID and after, prices in this area really did inflate a lot, we've had very few problems with appraisals.
Okay.
Most stuff is appraising very close to or at where we were. During COVID, we had a big problem with, hey, can you cover an appraisal gap? Like I would get contracts and have to call buyers and say, you know, hey, I don't think this house is worth that.
Yeah.
Can you pay an additional X, you know, to cover that if that's the deal? It's really gotten much better than that.
Okay.
Mark alluded to it earlier rather. The price per square foot is really holding pretty steady right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done those price gaps or the gaps after the appraisals come in. There's been times when people really wanted the house, and obviously the more their bank's not going to pick up that amount, the difference between, you know, their price and what the appraisers approved. In some cases, it's $15,000 or $20,000. So that money's really got to come out of you know, the buyer's pocket, and that's a unique situation between a seller and buyer, because the seller says, okay, well, I want to sell it for $200,000. It's only appraised for $180,000.
Yeah.
There's two options: either seller drops it to $180,000, or the buyer decides, hey, you know, I want to go to $200,000 or meet halfway at $190,000. So there's still some negotiation there, but
Yeah.
I've had it a few times. I've written them in at the request of some of my clients. So, but that hasn't been the case now, thank God. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I did note on our mortgage that we got a letter basically saying our mortgage payment's going up because they've reappraised the escrow and the property taxes and stuff, and they do that every 3 or 4 years. It's like, oh wow, an extra $80 on my mortgage payment. Thank you very much for everything accruing in price and all that. But one of the things I remember from our previous conversation when we interviewed you, you were still with USA Mortgage. Now you're over at Bank Central, and you had this cash option. Can you tell me about some options that Bank Central's offering since you're over there with them now?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that. So the biggest deal is when you're, there's good and bad. There's two different kind of business models. The mortgage banker side, like solely not connected to a bank, when you're kind of in a broker situation. Mm-hmm. The advantage there is that when things are good, you can usually offer specialized products like you were talking about, like the cash offer, program, things like that, those are things that they're going to be able to come up with. The good thing about a bank is when times are the way they are right now, we're still going to be extremely viable. The bank that I'm with is a $25 billion bank. It's about to be probably more than that, with no debt.
Okay.
So
it's not the Silicon Valley Bank that we've been hearing about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not them. Yeah.
Okay.
We're still privately held.
All right.
So good. If that says anything, it's a very conservative bank that, is very, has a lot of liquidity and a lot of, options. So that's very helpful. But to your point, kind of different things we offer. We have a lot of portfolio loans that a lot of people cannot do anymore. So what that offers is, let's say you have a higher debt to income ratio, but you're self-employed, and we can figure out a way, to make that work. A lot of banks nowadays do not have those options,
right?
At all. Once you get over 55% on your debt to income, not to get too, in the weeds on this, but normally whenever you get that way, most people don't have options for you. And we still have a lot of options for those buyers. And debt to income, like just for people that are listening that don't know what that is, that's the new house payment plus all the debt that you currently have minus your income. Okay. So we come up with a percentage there. And a lot of people will just have to say no, where we don't have to anymore. So
you have to pay 50% of your credit card off because and then so once you get that debt paid down on your credit card, your score might change a little bit. We might be able to work with you, but we're not going to run the risk of you not being able to pay something.
You got it, Chris. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And then in addition to that, what we have is a lot of in-house programs, which I'm just selling like crazy. Just to be honest, I'm not bragging, but right now we have a lot of people looking for specialized programs that when the market gets tough, people stop offering. So one of our biggest ones now is if you have we call it a business professionals loan, but it's the same thing as a medical loan. If you have any kind of like higher degree in your business, so if you have an MBA, you're an accountant, you're an attorney, engineer, CPA, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We have a no down payment loan with no PMI.
Wow.
And best in-house interest rate. Like it's really, really hard to compete with that. I mean,
Man, the doctors are gonna be rolling up to your door, man.
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
Get that student loan debt paid off. You be set, man.
100%, man. And there are a lot of people that offer the doctor's loans, but there aren't a lot of people that can say, hey, show me your CPA license, show me your licensed engineer license, show me that you got your, if you're a college professor, show me that you got your master's degree that can offer the same loan. And we do the exact same loan for those people that we would for a doctor.
Okay. How about that TURF program? Is that for new home buyers? What is that about?
Yeah, that one's, just to be fair, that's pretty difficult to get approved for.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes a pretty individual buyer. We do offer that, but you have to be buying in a certain area with a certain income.
Okay.
Area. Yeah.
So specifically like TURF is, it's got, is it like for lower income or is it for higher income people and folks like that?
Yeah, usually for lower income and quite frankly, again, this is not for everybody. So, put that caveat out there.
Yeah.
If you fall in that area, a lot of times a rural development loan will even be more advantageous for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's not a bad deal, but
I think it opens up an option for people who traditionally have, there's been barriers getting into owning their own property, and they're throwing that money away on a rental.
That's right.
Or a small apartment, and they, so I think maybe having programs like that do open up some doors for people to actually be real property owners.
Yeah.
Then obviously refinances, life gets a little bit better later on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I would really compliment, as big a pain in the ass as it is for us. A lot of the people that make the rules on the mortgage side, we, fight against a lot. And it's weird. However, I will say, I do think they've done a really, really good job of allowing people in the situation like you just explained to at least be able to buy.
Yes.
And so there's way more, programs like that. Like the state of Arkansas allows a down payment assistance program up to $15,000. That's great. Like that can cover most of your down payment and your closing costs.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that, and even Bella Vista, a lot of it is rural development. You can still qualify if you have a certain income for that. And it's kind of surprising that we still have it, to be honest with you. I think it's just going to be a matter of time before that'll be gone. It's exceeded, I think, the population right now, right? I think it was 30,000. So we're probably over that now.
I think there's some other stuff with infrastructure that it has to be a factor though, right? Don't you have to have like sewer on a certain percentage of it and all that? And actually,
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
We're private sewer, we're private water. Primarily, the almost everybody's on septic. So I think that for some reason I thought it still qualified as rural development in Bella Vista. I don't think we've quite met all the metrics.
Yeah, it's still now. You go on the USDA site and you can plug in the address. There's some that come in that don't, so it's kind of odd to me. But majority of the ones that I've ever put in have been qualified for RD loans.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, Mark. That's why a good real estate agent or a good mortgage broker is very helpful, because you can literally just type in, "Hey, I'm interested in this house. Is it rural development?" Available, and that can be, you can tell immediately. However, I can also tell on my end whether that's available for down payment assistance. And even
Right.
if it's rural development, which doesn't have down payment, you can use that for your closing costs.
Yeah.
So we've gotten a lot of buyers into houses with nothing out of pocket.
Yeah,
So,
I understand. Well, we'll hit into these interest rates here. So back in 2020, 2021, you know, the 30-year fixed was at 3%. People were going crazy. Now we fast forward, we're at, I think I got a quote yesterday, 6.87 and a 30-year fixed. Where are you guys at? Somewhere in that area, right?
yeah, I was at a 6.75 today.
Okay. So it came off a little bit, but not a lot. But I think people are getting spoiled here, man. You're at 3, and it's just, if you look back all the history in the infographic that Chris showed here, I mean, you go all the way back, and I mean, you're looking back in 1981, 16%.
Right.
Even when you make your way down to 2000, I mean, you had rates of over 8%.
Right.
2000 it was 8, and then about 2003 it dropped. It spiked a little bit in 2006, and then it went down in 2012 to 3.6, and then really it bottomed in 2021 at below 3%.
Yeah. Couple of points I always make on that. Number one, the history. So if I'm dealing with a buyer that lived through that, that's very, very, very important that, you know, they're reminded of that. Like this is not crazy. It's not good, but you know, it's not crazy. But another thing is if you're looking at total investment in Northwest Arkansas, you know, you're let's just talk just straight money.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're going to sell that house in 3 years. Is what you're paying for a monthly payment worth it? Absolutely.
Yes.
Like there without a doubt. Like even at a 7% interest rate, which seems crazy to a lot of people, it's still very, very well worth it to do that. So you know, that's tough. I think and I don't mean to like categorize people here or be ageist, but I think for older people that like kind of went through all that and you know saw where they were, that might be difficult, but it's very, very well worth it to do that, especially the way that rent prices have gone up, you know, continually. I mean, I talk to people all the time now that think that, you know, stuff we quote them is really high. And then I'm like, what are you paying rent? And maybe we're $200 off. I'm like, that's the difference between an investment.
Right. Yeah. Cause you're going to, even in 2 years, you're going to get something, I mean, back for you. I mean, you're going to get your rent back plus some.
Absolutely. I mean, if it's, you know, you lose $2,400 a month for a couple of years, if you want to sell that house later, you're completely going to make that up.
Yeah.
So yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So Corey, what loans do you do now? I mean, I know you said you do a 30-year fix. Where's the rate? You said 30-year fixed at 6.75. What's the 15-year fixed at?
Yeah, as of today, we were there. It's kind of funny well, it's not funny. It's kind of baffling, to be honest. But when the rates go up, the variation in what you see almost lessens. So the 15-year was like at a 6.275.
Okay.
When the market is really strong, let's just pretend like 30-year fix is 6.75. The 15-year could be like at 5.75. Like it could be a point, you know, it could be a really, really drastic difference between the two. It's not right now.
Okay.
And the same with the ARM loans. The rate on those are close, if not maybe a quarter point lower.
Yep.
You really see rate differentiation on those whenever you talk about secondary and investment homes.
Yep.
Otherwise, they're pretty similar. And you know, if somebody's who's looking to buy a house right now is watching this right now, another thing that happens is rate differentiation between investment companies gets very, very small when stuff gets bad. So, you know, we get shopped a lot when rates are low because people offer something separate or, you know, it gets different. right now it's not at all. I mean, things are very, very competitive and close.
It's like
Yeah,
fuel
and I know-
prices, right? I mean, like when fuel prices are high, you're seeing a fluctuation, maybe like a penny here, but then like across the street, they're like, well, if you pay cash, you get 3 cents off, right?
Exactly.
But it's still so close that
Exactly.
nobody can really. There's not really it's not competition. Everybody's just trying to
And-
survive.
And to add on to that, Chris, let's say you get a quarter of a point difference across the street, in your monthly payments, you'll never feel that. I mean, I hate to say it, but like it's very, very small. And another thing that a lot of mortgage people don't talk about with buyers, which I talk about every day with, you're going to refinance this loan in 3 to 4 years anyway. Like I'm gonna be calling you, bothering you. So is a quarter of a point worth, an extremely bad service,
Yes.
what is that actually worth whenever we know we're going to be refinancing you in 3 to 4 years? So
Yeah,
and that's
once it drops to what, like 3% again, you'd be like, hey, you should be refinancing now while the rates are low, and everybody's getting these rates. And so I get it. I mean, like we were in a unique situation when we bought to where I don't think anybody's given us a competitive rate here, so we're good, right? But we don't need all that junk mail coming in either. So
right. I think the one thing that a lot of people don't understand is the difference between, like, say, a 6.75 and a 6.375 really is not a lot.
it's not.
But what I compete against a lot is people that quote discount points on the interest rate.
Yeah, people forget that. Yep,
And-
absolutely.
And it's a very, very difficult thing to explain to people, because most people that go online, and before I was in this business, I was the same way. So I'm not, not throwing any shade towards people that think this way, but most people think the interest rate is the interest rate.
No, you can buy down your rate though. You can buy the extra points, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
And so daily, I have people that send me loan estimates that go, well, this person quoted me 6.5 and you're at 6.75. And I go, yeah, but you're paying an additional $5,000 in closing costs. If I'm going to refinance you in 3 years, you're not going to ever make that money up. Like,
keep your $5,000, use that whenever you refinance, and invest that wisely over these 3 years, and you're better off.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So that's one of the hard conversations that I have to have with people now. I mean, I actually like it because I feel like if they get what I'm saying, they kind of, are a little bit more educated on mortgages, but it's kind of hard right now.
Well, I could tell you as a first-time home buyer. Sorry, Mark. Back when I bought, it was first-time home buyer. It was all new to me and foreign to me, and I was fortunate enough to work with a lender who explained the process to me. It says, "Man, you're gonna have to go down and do a DNA test, sign over your kid, the whole 9 yards." But at the end of it, I felt good and not like I'd learned something through this process, and it's like it goes back to having a good lender. Why it's important to work with a good lender who can explain all this to you and hold your hand, especially on a first-time home buyer, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know all this stuff, and so it's great to have people like you in the industry that are willing to explain this to people so that they don't get taken advantage of. Like, say, "Oh, just get an adjustable rate mortgage for your first mortgage." Oh yeah, that can work out really great, or it can work out really bad for you.
Right.
That's the first thing we're serving up for you, right?
But I've had clients that have jumped on 5 or 7 year ARMs and are just going to ride those. And like you said, Corey, they're going to refinance when it comes to the point before it resets. And that's fine too. I mean, at the time they were saving a few points, but life goes on, man. You can't let interest rates or home rates just, control that. Are we going to see 3%? I don't think we'll see 3% for a long time. Heck, I don't even think we'll see 5.5% for a long time, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
Hey, Corey, explain to people, because people get confused. When the Federal Reserve increases the funds rate, it's not directly aligned with the interest rate for home loans. Can you explain that a little bit?
A little bit. The I mean, of course, whenever the Fed makes changes, we all have to react, and that's the way it is. I think one of the hard things that people, I mean, including me, like, to be honest, one of the hard things that people have to realize is that they're not directly correlated to what we charge as an interest rate as the bank.
That's what I was getting at. Because when the Federal Reserve increases, it goes a half a point or point, people have it in their brains that, the mortgage rate's going to jump up another point. And that's right. That's not the reality of it.
I mean, to put it in simple terms, it's a trickle down effect. But mortgages are, and I know people hate to hear me say this out loud, but they're a different gamble than what the Federal Reserve is reacting to. Right. So, traditionally, I know 2008 happened, but traditionally mortgages are a much more stable investment. And so when somebody says they're going to raise a half a point at the Fed, we're not going to see a half a point tomorrow, in rates. Yes, we might see a quarter of a point over a 2-week time, but we usually don't see exactly what they say they're doing over that. So, the Fed's reacting to everything, which, not to give them a lot of grace because they have a very hard job, but, still they're reacting to everything. So they have to think about mortgages. They have to think about commercial loans. They have to think about deposits. Like they have a really, really hard job. And so it doesn't always directly translate to us. It will trickle down. I do not want them to make any more rate hikes. Like, let me be clear on that. I think they've done that enough and shown, in my opinion, that that's not helped inflation. However, they're not only thinking about mortgages when they make those decisions.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we had talked before. You do mobile and modular homes, right? You do loans for that. A lot of companies don't do that. They just do single family and that's about it. So how does that work? How does that process work?
Yeah, really, it's very, very similar. There's kind of like 3 big things that I tell people whenever we're looking at modular or manufactured. Number one, they have to have a HUD tag, which almost all of them do now. And if you're watching this and you don't know what that means, there's literally metal tag on the outside and usually on the inside of a unit that says, hey, this has all the HUD verification for it. So
it meets all the requirements, like your gas lines, the electrical. It's all within the standards of HUD. So it qualifies for possibly a HUD loan, right?
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 2 is you have to be buying a unit that goes with the land. So that used to not, honestly, like when I started, that wasn't much of a problem. Nowadays, people, like you said earlier, like because of COVID, kind of want something they can move around possibly.
Yeah.
That's getting very hard to finance. So if you have something that is, you're buying the land, you're buying the property, just like you'd buy a regular house, except it's there. That's really it.
All right. So no buying a Louisiana trailer house to live in Minnesota. Right. It's got to meet the insulation requirements for you. Okay.
You got it. Or a lot of people buy tiny houses are a big deal now.
Yeah.
Those are usually in parks now, like where they have
tiny park, tiny home village. I think there's one in Rogers, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great idea and that's really cool. However, from a title perspective, when you don't own the land your thing sits on, that's really hard for us to lend money on. So it's not impossible. It's just very, very hard.
So you would be able to do that as long as it was they own the land and obviously had a foundation, right? Or for a tiny home. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And then I said that was 2 things. So then the third thing is most of the time the unit, whatever it is, has to be on a permanent foundation.
Yeah, I remember that from talking with the VA folks. It's like if you buy a mobile, you have to have what they call I think it was a block. You have to have like a fixed foundation. It can't just be a mobile home sitting on the blocks. You actually have to have a block foundation put in, like for a prefab.
Yeah. And if you think about it from the investor standpoint, it makes sense. They're not being like overbearing. What they're saying is we're investing in you, so you have to invest in us. AKA if a tornado hits this spot and you had house insurance on a traditional house but home, you know, you're going to build back in that same spot. A lot of people, you know, in, let's say, a tiny house part, that might not be a thing.
Right.
So what they're asking is not, you know, unreasonable.
Okay.
Or you don't have to worry about Uncle Larry backing his semi truck up and hauling off with your house either, right? You know, because he got mad at you. You know?
That too.
So, but yeah, I get the permanent foundation thing. You know, I mean, I've had family that have lived in those, and I mean, one thing is the water pipes freezing up without having a proper foundation on them, and just that skirting, it becomes problematic, and then the moisture buildup on top of it.
Right.
Rotten floors in those manufactured homes and stuff like that happen real quick if you don't have a proper foundation.
Yeah, 100%. And not to take us too off course, but I was a insurance agent before I got in this world, and just trying to find like actual good coverage for things like that has gotten so hard that, you know, it's almost not worth it. Yeah.
I can't imagine that nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's probably twice as expensive to repair, and it's probably not even going to be, you know, a long-term repair either. You know, it's probably better just to replace the home.
Yeah.
You know? So
100%.
Hey, Corey, we appreciate your time. How do people get in touch with you? How do they reach out to you?
Yeah. So, I mean, the easiest way, I mean, I'm wide open on my cell phone. I work probably a little too much, but my text and call, you can get me anytime at 870-926-1029.
Okay.
Or you can go to my website. It's nwa-mortgage.com.
Okay.
And if you just click apply today or apply now, whatever it says, there's a very like easy way to fill that out. You know, it doesn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes. And when you fill that out, the great thing about it is you actually know what you can shop for. Right. You know, I don't ever want, not just realtors, but I don't ever want buyers to get their hopes and dreams up. This is what we want to do, you know, before they know what they can afford, or even if they can get approved for it, what they know it will cost. Right. So yeah, that's
go out, get pre-qualified with you, and then do your shopping basically.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. And you know, I hate to say it, but it rarely happens that they call me first. They're way more likely to call Mark and go, I found my dream home. I gotta buy this house.
I know. I try to. I just tell them, get with your financial institution, get pre-approved for the amount, and then we can go from there. So yeah, there's been some heart-wrenching stories with that not being pre-approved. They find a house or see something they really like, want to make a decision, then they realize they have to fill out the application with their financial institution, and you know that process doesn't take 5 minutes. You can submit it, but you still have the background, and you know,
signing over, giving a drop of blood, signing over your firstborn, mortgaging the horse and the wagon. You know, I mean, like they're going to take it all, man.
but I will say, like, we have a same day turnaround on pre-qualification, so it would you know, Mark, if you're if you had people call you and said, hey, I want you to take me to this place in Bella Vista, you know, as long as I have an application by 1:00.
Yeah,
you've been really good about it. You're same day, man. But
we're always norm, man. I don't ever want. I just don't want to waste people's time. You know, I know. That's my biggest deal. It's like you not only yours but theirs. I don't want them to go see something, you know, they can't afford or whatever.
And I tell Chris this all the time with you, Corey, and I think we're all built the same. You take pride in what you do, man, and you stay on top of your business, and that's what I like about you. I'll send you an email or whatever, man, and bam, it's back at me, and we get rocking and rolling because I have people I have to answer to too, right? And I understand that process, and I appreciate that, man. I really do. And you've been good with me, man. And I like how you go about your business. I really do. I think you're very professional, and we enjoy having you on. So
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you back on too. And if you ever want to, if there's some news or anything like that, reach out to us, let us know, man, and we'll have you back on to give us some updates.
Absolutely, guys. We'll do. I appreciate it. Thank y'all so much.
All right.
Appreciate
Have a
it, Corey.
wonderful
Have a good
evening.
night.
If this whole scene goes bad and we both see that there's no way back, can we live with that? I watch you shake your head and turn away. Please, I'm so sorry. I don't want to lose you. Stay here with me. Stay here with me. Stay here with me. Stay here with me. Now if this shit goes down and we don't swim, then we're lost at sea. There's no you and me. You know I love you, so I hope you hear. Take the time to
And we are back. Sorry about that, y'all. We a great interview with Corey as always, man. I mean, he's just
Yeah, it was awesome.
we have an organic, I guess, like this conversation with most of the people that we interview, and that one went a little bit longer than what normal, but I mean, there was a lot, a world of great information too. Corey is dude. Did I lose lighting or something? I don't know what happened? Something went
Power
went-
outage, man.
something went off. No, man, dude, it's always a pleasure to sit down and talk with him. I mean, obviously, like, me and you are ride or die homies, man. Bad boys, what's he gonna do? But on the flip side of the coin it's like, I was like, you educate me on the mortgage side of the house, right? And like we have conversations about housing and all that all the time. And then, like, understanding the lending side of it is, I don't know, that's the beauty of running a podcast, though. It's the amount of people that you get to meet and the amount of connections that you get to make. And the fact that, like, every opportunity to talk to somebody is an opportunity to learn something. And that's the one thing I love about doing this, man.
Yeah, I mean, the guests provide a lot of information to our viewers and us.
Yes.
There's
Yep.
stuff that we have people on. I'm like, wow, I didn't even think about that, or oh, I didn't know that. So we're gonna start cranking those back up again and getting some more interviews going. And I know we stopped for a while, but we had a lot on our plate.
Dude, we stopped for a while because I think we were politicked out, man. I mean, we were interviewing politicians left and right, and that just that wears you down, bro.
Yeah,
It really does. So SB 197, man, there was meetings took place on Wednesday this week.
Yep.
A lot of people came in from Bella Vista in support and against it. You know, Doug Fowler was down there. We talked about that briefly the other night. But I mean, Jerry Snow was down there talking. I think Jerry Snow did a really good job of talking about it. But there's one that just really, like, I was watching some of this stuff last night after I got done with a tech meeting with the Amped Electric Games guys, and I think we talked briefly. There is another advertising and promotion commission person that went down and spoke against this. It was from the city of Eureka Springs. And so the advertising and promotion person actually owns a hotel in the city of Eureka Springs. So obviously he's going to speak out against SB 197 because Eureka Springs does have a lot of
short-term rentals. Yeah.
Short-term rental overreach. They basically have prohibited any new short-term rentals. And I think that basically if somebody sells a property or something like that, that it can't be redone as a short-term rental. So, you know, that's where these conflicts of interest come in, right? These people aren't disclosing this. He came down and said he's on the Advertising and Promotion Commission, right? But he's also a hotel owner.
Right. He didn't disclose that either. I don't remember him saying that, at least.
No, I had to Google that. And I wanted to figure out who he was. And he owns, I think it's the Joy Motel or something like that.
Okay.
But it's like, I don't know. There's a lot of commentary on the interwebs about this individual as well. So, you know, I mean, obviously, if there's the appearance of a conflict of interest, then maybe you should just back out, right? Like not open your mouth.
Right. You need to remove yourself from that equation. You know,
it's funny how these advertising and promotion people are sitting there speaking out because they want that tyrannical control, or the people like, you know, I don't know, Abby and going down there and
stirring it up.
Yeah. It's like the biggest takeaway that I heard about the against people is it's all hyperbolic conjecture. You know, the fact that somebody may be noisy next to my house, or the fact that somebody may leave their trash can out, or the fact that somebody may do so. Okay, that reality is an everyday reality in the United States of America.
Right.
Somebody may whoop your ass while you're pumping gas. Somebody may, do something at any given moment, right? But we can't write law off of the fact that somebody may do something. Right.
And I think the commission started picking up on that, Chris. I mean, a few of them. Some of the other ones really didn't pick up on it, but I think they were well aware of like you said, a lot of it was conjecture. But it wasn't factual information that was being provided.
That one lady from Bella Vista saying that we need to if anything, SB 197 needs to be disbanded and thrown away, and we need to actually look at doing state regulations to say no more than 4% of the houses in a population can be STRs. And I'm like, and I know I said this on was it Wednesday night, but it was apply that same rule. No more of people drawing Social Security. No more than 3% of people drawing Social Security can be a member of our community.
Right.
Or apply whatever metric. No more than 3% of Christians can be in our community.
Right. And that's what happened here. That you isolated a specific group, right? It's no different. It could be any group.
But the thought process, it really makes you question the thought process of the people that are coming in and speaking like this, right? Because it's like, they're showing their butts and they don't even realize it. It's like you were that person that was like fine with, snitching on your neighbor and your neighbor's getting sent to concentration camps. Right. Like, I mean, like it's a comparison. It's a big comparison, but it's really the factor, right? Is you want to limit somebody's constitutional right to property because they may or may not. And now you want to cap that. So you're alienating.
Well, and the thing is, they're still missing that. The premise of it was people's property rights. That was the whole premise of the lawsuit, Chris. You know,
Right.
and they still can't figure out why. I mean, they still want to fight that.
Right.
You know, people have a right to have their property and manage it. They
And
don't
if somebody does something, right? If somebody parks in the street or if somebody's noisy, there's rules and regulations and police force
Ordinances.
and powers and everything
Right.
else that can be used to handle that situation. The good news is it's going to be a short-lived situation if it's a short-term rental. Imagine getting that person moving in as a long-term rental next to you,
Right.
right? Or
Yeah, I mean,
buying
the
next to you.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. The parking situation could be it could be someone just moves in permanently, right?
Yep.
They have 7 cars out front, whatever, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, there wasn't enough complaints. There wasn't complaints out there to justify their position, you know.
Right.
And that ultimately wasn't where the lawsuit's coming from, and we'll see how that takes.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
see.
believe-
I see over here on the Legiscan 316 Amendment number 2 read and adopted in the bill order and gross. So that means that there'd probably be more conversations, another reading because they made some amendments, and we'll see what happens next week or the week after.
Yep.
But we'll provide those updates as we hear them. And that being said, we'll move on to the next one. Gun owners threaten immediate lawsuits over Biden ordering increasing background checks. Gun rights groups are already threatening litigation against President Joe Biden's executive order designed to increase background checks, arguing his action is overly broad and will target legal gun owners. Biden's executive orders today attempting to implement a pro-criminal anti-gun agenda show that when Joe Biden and his fellow gun grabbers have a choice between defending the rights of law-abiding citizens or siding with violent criminals, he chooses the criminals. Patrick Parsons, executive vice president at the American Firearms Association, told the Washington Examiner on Tuesday. Parsons vowed that AFA would fight to overturn these tyrannical, unconstitutional dictates at the state and federal levels, as well as in the courts. Biden orders was issued during a visit to Monterey Park in California, where 11 people were killed in January following a mass shooting during Lunar New York celebration. Is it New York or Lunar New Year? Can't remember.
Yeah, Lunar New Year probably.
White House officials told reporters the order seeks to increase the number of national background checks, promote proper gun safety and storage among owners, and aid local law enforcement agencies in making the use of existing resources such as the bipartisan gun control law Biden signed into law in 2022 following the mass shooting of an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas.
But they wanted a list. That was
Right.
my jam. They want a registry, Chris. They want a registry.
Well, and that's the thing. Like when you start having lists,
Right.
that's when it becomes problematic, right?
Right.
And
Well,
but
you can target people, right? You can target.
even your Mitch McConnells of the world, are looking at this stuff as bipartisan and anti-gun legislation. I mean, it's the uniparty, brother. It's the uniparty, right? Show me a Republican that's actually stood up and just fought tooth and nail. There's only a handful of them. There's only a handful of them.
When I read that legislation, it reminded me of, I don't know if you remember this, a few months back when there was a breach and there was in California, and there was a list of a registered list of gun owners released out into the web, and everybody got their hands on it.
So
and
people knew exactly where to go
right.
get
You
a
put
free
people
gun.
at risk. Yeah, I
You
mean,
get a free
you're
gun,
putting people.
man, so.
Yeah, and that's exactly the overstep that we don't need. You know,
Nope.
it's just. I can see where it's
and
going.
again, shall not be infringed is pretty damn clear. I would love to have this debate with somebody. If you're watching the show and you think that you know more about the Second Amendment than me, and I'm not an educated person, I'm not even college educated, believe it or not. But if you think you know more about the Second Amendment than me, let's sit down and have a dialogue, right? Let's do that, please. I welcome that. That's healthy adult dialogue. I can put my position out there. You can put your position out there. Mark, you can mediate, or we can find a totally unbiased person to mediate. But I would like to know what part of shall not be infringed is unclear. Please, let me know.
Yeah.
Hit us up in the comments.
This is just like the SDR lawsuit. This is what I talk overstepping your bounds, right? This can have a radical effect in the whole city, every homeowner eventually, right? I mean, where does it stop?
Well,
It's bigger. It's bigger than having a short-term
all
rental.
this does is make law-abiding citizens criminals overnight by signing these type of things, because the majority of law-abiding citizens are not going to turn over their guns.
Yep.
Not today. Not with everything they've seen over the past year and a half. I don't think it's going to happen.
Right.
I mean, you're going to have a percentage of people that are like, yeah, right?
Guns for money or scratch-off tickets.
Yeah, something. I don't know, man. Who knows? But I mean, to those people, I don't want you being armed and around me anyway, man. If you're willing to, like, you obviously don't understand what you have in your hand. What you have in your hand is what made America.
Yeah.
So, moving along, another train derailment, Washington Tribal Reservation. We don't need to go into too much detail, but yeah, another train derailment. And guess what? Nope, wait, there's more.
Infrastructure.
Another train derailment in Arizona and California border.
Yeah.
It didn't involve hazardous materials, they say.
One had diesel, right? One of them had diesel, I think.
I think this one did up here. Yeah, the Washington Tribal Reservation had diesel. This one, who knows what it had. They're saying it's Arizona, so they're saying it didn't have anything.
These are the amount of derailments we've had in the last month are more than
It's
we've
weird.
had in 30 years.
I mean, like, I was getting ready to change my decorations from train derailment season to bank closing season, or bank season. Seizure season decorations, but I hadn't gotten to that yet. Now it's good to see that I didn't take down my train derailment decorations, because there's 2 this week, so it's
Isn't
cool.
it crazy? It's unbelievable.
It is. It's where's Mayor Pete at? Buttigieg.
Yeah.
Right, another
Transportation
Pete, another Mayor
Secretary.
Pete, right?
Yeah.
Man. Jeez. San
Nobody's-
Francisco, a major metro area, just declared war on gas appliances, but not stoves. San Francisco Bay Area regulators on Wednesday approved a de facto ban on new home furnaces and water heaters that burn natural gas.
Nice.
But not gas-fired stoves, as states, cities, and political parties fight over the fuel's future.
Thanks, Ryan.
Hey, thank you very much, Ryan. We appreciate that. And all I got to say is, look, if you want a gas furnace, if you want a gas stove, put it in. Tell them to get bent.
I know.
For real.
I don't.
Quit playing
What
the
is going
game.
on?
Quit playing the game, man.
What is going on in California, man? Is there something in the water or what? I mean,
I think it was like one smell of colitas rising up through the air or something like that. You know, you can leave, but you never check out. Who knows, man? You know,
there's always something crazy coming out of there, man.
it's.
You
I
know?
think they're actively trying to run like normies out of California. Then it's just
I think so, too.
It's a pool of. Well, it effectively turns into Sodom and Gomorrah, and then, you know, the big one hits and they fall into the ocean, and we're all okay over here in Arkansas and Missouri, and, you know, I mean, I'm cool with it. Keep on keeping on. Let's save as many people. Get them over here to the lifeboat, man, because that place is just gonna burn. I mean, for real, man. As crazy as it is over there,
I know.
Yeah, it's. Just wait for the next big earthquake, brother. It's just gonna fall right. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I know I sound like a conspiracy theorist, right? But whatever. Did you see the news article regarding they're planning on doing seeding, cloud seeding? This was in the Associated Press. Cloud seeding
Cloud seeding.
to increase rain for the Colorado River. I'm old enough to remember when cloud seeding was determined as a what was it? A conspiracy theory. Hold on one sec. Cloud.
Clouds. You have to bring that up.
River. Associated Press. Here we go. I'm going to
Can
bring
you
it
pop
up
that
right
screen
now.
up,
Yes,
Chris?
sir. I can.
Yeah.
Feds are going to spend $2.4 million on cloud seeding for the Colorado River. Can you believe this? This was a
Really?
conspiracy theory. Wait a minute. You mean the government can control the weather? Wait a minute. I thought this was a conspiracy theory. This is Associated Press, AP News, okay?
Yeah. That is funny, man.
Oh, the government doesn't control the weather, though, right? They don't do that.
It's crazy.
Would never do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Fauci. Well,
That's
the Fauci ouchie story continues. Fauci responds to ex-CDC director's disturbing lab leak suppression accusation. On Thursday, Fauci forcefully denied suppressing the lab leak theory in the early days of the pandemic after former CDC Robert Redfield accused the former chief White House medical advisor of sidelining him from conversations about the origins of COVID. Appearing before the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic on Wednesday, Redfield accused Fauci of intentionally excluding him from a call with virologists on February 2020. Because Fauci knew he believed the virus emerged from a Chinese virology lab and didn't want Redfield convincing other experts of that view. I do think it illustrates one point that's worth really focusing on. When you have a group of people that decide there can only be one point of view, that's problematic. Now, we saw single points of view happening from the CDC to the NIH, the whole 9 yards during this whole crap show that we've lived through, right?
Yep.
Where it's like, maybe we shouldn't inject children with this. No, we're going full bore. But maybe, no, you magically, you no longer work for the organization you work, right?
Yeah. Well, that came to, you remember we talked about that. What was it? Robert Malone, right? And was it Robert Malone? Yeah, he was he's the created the mRNA vaccine.
And there was another guy who was a child cardiac specialist, pediatric cardiac specialist.
Yeah, what I was referencing is when he was having that conversation, he said that they were told their information is being suppressed, and if they got out of line, they were going to possibly pull their licenses or any funding they were getting for research.
Yeah.
So we know that was happening, and I don't know. I just wish this guy would go away. Just
Santa's looking for toy builders, man. That little troll can take his ass up there, man. That being said, I think that's the show at 9:17 p.m. We did go a little bit longer, but I think we had a valid interview with Corey, so I'm willing to accept that. Sorry for keeping everybody late. We hope you have a great weekend, great spring break, and stay happy, healthy, humble. We'll probably be checking in with you midweek next week. Until the next one, have a great weekend, y'all. It's going to be a little chilly. It's going to be a little bit rainy tomorrow, but I think it'll shape up midweek.
Hope so. Take care, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Latest.
I'm not afraid to take a stand. Everybody, come take my hand, come take my hand. We'll walk this road together.